Monday, March 2, 2026. The 2026 El Nino, update March 2026. The 2026 El Nino. Click on images to enlarge. Moving from the bottom of a La Nina to the peak of a strong El Nino alone can make a difference of more than 0.5 degrees Celsius, as discussed in an earlier post. The image on the right, adapted from NOAA, shows Nino 3.4 region temperature anomalies and forecasts, indicating that El Nino will emerge in the course of 2026. The image below, also adapted from NOAA, shows El Nino years, red, La Nina years, blue, and neutral years, gray. The image on the right, adapted from NOAA, shows ENSO, El Nino Southern Oscillation, probabilities for the Nino 3.4 region, 5 degree N 5 degree S 120 degree W 170 degree W, relative sea surface temperature index, indicating El Nino, red bar, will emerge and strengthen in the course of 2026. The combination image below, adapted from ECMUF, shows ENSO anomalies and forecasts for developments through February 2027 in Nino 3.4, left panel, and in Nino 1+2, right panel, indicating that the next El Nino will emerge and strengthen in the course of 2026. Image from earlier post. The combination image below, also adapted from ECMUF, shows anomalies and forecasts through September 2026 in the Nino 3.4 region, left panel, and the Nino 1+2 region, right panel. Sea surface temperature anomalies exceeding 2 degrees Celsius in the Nino 3.4 region indicate a super or very strong El Nino event. Zeke Housefather made the image below based on forecasts by different modeling groups that suggest that we might see an event comparable in strength to what we saw in 2016. Click on images to enlarge. The image below, adapted from tropicaltidbits.com, shows a rise since early January 2026 of more than 2.5 degrees Celsius in sea surface temperature anomalies, CDAS data, in the Nino 1+2 region from early January 2026 to March 1, 2026. Forests burning. The image below, adapted from Copernicus, shows high levels of carbon dioxide over South America, Central Africa, and India on March 14, 2026. Indicating massive burning of forests and crop residues. Ocean temperatures. During La Nina, heat builds up underneath the sea surface, so sea surface temperatures and air temperatures get suppressed. The image below, adapted from NOAA, illustrates ocean heat building up in the equatorial Pacific region. During El Nino, more ocean heat comes to the sea surface and more ocean heat gets transferred to the atmosphere, resulting in elevated air temperatures. The image below shows world, 60 degree S, 60 degree N, 0, 360 degree E, sea surface temperatures from NOAA OIST V2.1. The sea surface temperature was 21.15 degrees Celsius on March 24, 2026, a record high temperature for the time of year and a plus 0.74 degrees C anomaly compared to 1982 to 2010. The sea surface temperature has risen by 0.46 degrees Celsius since the start of 2026. Furthermore, changes in salinity and ocean currents, together with ocean stratification, ocean oxygen depletion and sea ice loss can result in oceans changing from heat sinks into heat sources, resulting in more heat remaining in the air and getting transferred to the air, as discussed in earlier posts such as this one and as discussed in this analysis, also discussed here. The danger is illustrated by the image below. Image from earlier post, discussed on Facebook and also at the Arctic News Group on Facebook. The upcoming El Nino could trigger a rapid and steep rise in temperature. The above image shows ERA 5 daily sea surface temperature anomalies, 60 degree S 60 degree N, from January 1, 2023 through February 25, 2026, with an added trend, Warning about the potential for a steep temperature rise in 2026. The above image shows NASA February 2026 land plus ocean temperature anomalies as high as 6.6 degrees Celsius with an average of 1.24 degrees Celsius above 1951-1980. Land-only temperatures. The above image was created with NASA land-only temperature anomalies versus 1880 to 1890, not pre-industrial, through February 2026. The image shows that the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold was crossed on land for all months since 2022, black squares. The lowest 3-year smoothing trend, red line, indicates that the 2 degrees Celsius threshold was crossed on land since 2022. The dashed red line is a linear extension of the red line that indicates that the 3 degrees Celsius threshold may get crossed soon, possibly half 2029 if this linear trend continues, dashed red extension. The images below and above focus on land-only temperatures, since virtually all people live on land, rather than oceans, which makes it critical for people to know by how much temperatures could rise on land. Some suggest that 1 decade was too short to qualify as a climate period. Climate change generally does take place over many years, as opposed to seasonal changes that take place within a period of 1 or a few years' time, while the weather can change by the hour. Yet, acceleration in the rise in temperature over a short period of time should not be ignored in discussions about climate change and action on climate change. The image below shows 15 years of NASA land-only temperature anomalies versus 1880 to 1920, not pre-industrial, with a quartic trend added that points at the 3 degrees Celsius threshold getting crossed in 2027. The trend is calculated over 16 years of data, so when adding 16 years into the future, a trend that has the start of 2026 at its center would cover a 32-year period if extended to the year 2041. The canvas in the image below shows a yellow trend starting in 2011, with the dashed part for the years 2026 and 2027 constituting an extension of the trend made visible for years for which no annual data are yet available. The canvas of the image is limited to 3 degrees Celsius for the vertical axis and to the start of the year 2028 for the horizontal axis, since humans are likely to go extinct with a 3 degrees Celsius rise. So, while the canvas is limited, the trend actually covers a period of 32 years. Could a steep rise in land-only temperatures occur soon? The danger is that the temperature will not merely overshoot the 3 degrees Celsius threshold, but that the temperature will continue to rise. Given the severity, ubiquity, and imminence of the danger, one would think that highlighting the danger will prompt people into taking climate action, but no predictions are made and no promises or guarantees can be offered, so it makes sense for the canvas to stop there, discussed on Facebook here. Such trends should not be confused with near-future temperature forecasts or predictions. The image poses questions such as whether a steep rise in land-only temperatures could occur soon. The debate page further discusses whether the danger can best be highlighted using data dating back only a few years, whether linear or nonlinear trends should be used, etc. Polynomial trends such as the one in the above image can highlight warnings about dangers that are discussed in this post and in earlier posts, i.e. warnings that a strong El Nino may be on the way that could cause a strong rise in temperature in the course of 2026, a rise that would come on top of a temperature rise that is already accelerating due to high concentrations of greenhouse gases, while deforestation and numerous feedbacks are kicking in with greater ferocity, and while the temperature rise is amplified in the Arctic, which could lead to a blue ocean event soon, further speeding up the temperature rise and resulting in loss of permafrost, eruption of methane from the seafloor of the Arctic Ocean, further loss of lower clouds, etc. Arctic temperatures. The above image shows that the 2025 Arctic temperature was 3.431 degrees Celsius higher than in 1951 to 1980. The only year on record that had an anomaly higher than 2025 was 2016, when there was a super El Nino. Click on images to enlarge. The above image shows a sea surface temperature anomaly forecast for August 2026, adapted from tropicaltidbits.com, with sea surface temperature anomalies higher than 5 degrees Celsius showing up over much of the Arctic Ocean. The image on the right shows that most forecasts point at a sea surface temperature anomaly exceeding 2 degrees Celsius in the Nino 3.4 region in Sept 2026, indicating that a super El Nino event is on the way. The image below shows a 2-meter temperature anomaly forecast for November 2026, adapted from tropicaltidbits.com, with anomalies at the top end of the scale, 13 degrees Celsius, showing up over most of the Arctic Ocean. Image from earlier post, click on images to enlarge. The image below shows a 2-meter temperature anomaly forecast for December 2026, adapted from tropicaltidbits.com, with very high anomalies again showing up over most of the Arctic Ocean. Arctic sea ice. The image below, adapted from ads.nipar.ac.jp/6shop, shows that the Arctic sea ice was 13.38 million square kilometers in extent on March 24, 2026, the lowest extent on record for the time of year. The image below, adapted from NCIDC, shows that on March 24, 2026, the Arctic sea ice extent was 14.024 million square kilometers, the lowest extent on record for the time of year. This is a very dangerous situation, since we're moving out of a La Nina, which is suppressing the temperature, into an El Nino, which will be elevating the temperature, as also described in a recent post. The image below shows that the Arctic sea ice extent anomaly was 1.38 million square kilometers lower than 1981 to 2010 on March 22, 2026, black, the lowest daily anomaly on record and a deviation from 1981 to 2010 of -3.12 sigma. Also highlighted is the sea ice extent anomaly for 2016, blue, when there was a strong El Nino. The danger is that a blue ocean event will occur in 2026 if Arctic sea ice continues to be low and if melting from April 2026 onward will be strong. A blue ocean event can be said to occur when virtually no sea ice remains to keep consuming ocean heat that is entering the Arctic Ocean mainly from the Atlantic Ocean. Virtually no sea ice could be 1 million square kilometers or less in sea ice extent, but it could also be measured in area. The image below illustrates that the Arctic sea ice area was 13.52 million square kilometers on March 20, 2012, and it was 12.40 million square kilometers on March 20, 2026, i.e. a difference of 1.12 million square kilometers. Arctic sea ice area was 2.24 million square kilometers on September 12, 2012, so if this difference persists, Arctic sea ice area would be 1.12 million square kilometers in September 2026, or very close to a blue ocean event. The danger that a blue ocean event will occur in September 2026 is further illustrated by the image below, which shows Arctic sea ice volume in the past 25 years. Markers show April, blue, and September, red, volume, corresponding with the year's maximum and minimum. In 2025, Arctic sea ice reached a record low maximum volume, as well as a record low minimum volume. As illustrated by the above image, adapted from dmi.dk, Arctic sea ice volume was very low in April 2025, so while relatively little melting took place from April 2025 to September 2025, a record low Arctic sea ice volume was still reached in September 2025. The above image shows Arctic sea ice volume through mid-February 2026, with an analysis of the strength of the melting between April, annual maximum, and September, annual minimum, by means of the bars colored magenta, strong melting, and green, little melting. If the downward trend in annual maxima, blue circles, continues, Arctic sea ice looks set to reach an even lower maximum volume in April 2026. The difference between strong melting, magenta, and little melting, green, is 3,000 cubic kilometers, so if strong melting will take place from April 2026, this may well cause a blue ocean event to occur later in 2026. A blue ocean event could also be said to occur when only 1,000 cubic kilometers or less Arctic sea ice volume remains. The image below, adapted from DMI.dk, shows that Arctic sea ice volume was at a record daily low on March 25, 2026. The image below, adapted from ZachLab, shows sea ice thickness near the North Pole from 1979 through February 2026. Greenhouse gas concentration. The highest daily average carbon dioxide, CO2, concentration on record, 431.89 parts per million, ppm, was recorded at Mauna Loa, Hawaii, on March 24, 2026. The image below shows 1 year of daily, green circles, weekly, red lines, and monthly, blue lines, average carbon dioxide concentrations at Mauna Loa, Hawaii. Climate Emergency Declaration. The situation is dire and unacceptably dangerous, and the precautionary principle necessitates rapid, comprehensive, and effective action to reduce the damage and to improve the outlook, where needed in combination with the Climate Emergency Declaration, as described in posts such as in this 2022 post and this 2025 post, and as discussed in the Climate Plan Group. Proposed amendment to the Constitution. People who see huge environmental dangers have a duty to speak out, and politicians have a duty to act. When dangers are confirmed by best available science, politicians who still fail to act should be immediately replaced and institutionalized until rehabilitated. Links Japanese National